So good day to all of you. Our lesson for today is all about module number 3, which is entitled Energy from the Volcanoes. And the most essential learning competency for today's lesson is to illustrate how energy from volcanoes may be tapped for human use. The expectations are the following. For number 1, describe the type of energy coming from the volcanoes. Number 2, identify the type of volcanoes which can be good sources of geothermal energy. Number 3, identify the type of volcanoes in the Philippines which are sources of geothermal energy. And the last one is to create a representation of geothermal energy flow in a geothermal power plant. So what is energy? Scientifically speaking, energy is capacity or ability to do work. We need energy to perform our tasks. This is also true with appliances, gadgets, and devices that we use every day. It will not run if there is no electricity. And that electricity came from different sources of energy. Energy can be solar energy, hydrothermal energy, radiant energy, thermal energy, wind energy, nuclear energy, and many more. But today, we are going to focus on one type of energy, which is what we call geothermal energy. So what is geothermal energy? Geothermal energy is the energy that originates from heat coming from the interior part of the planet. We learned from our previous lesson that Philippines is a home for many volcanoes due to the reason that we are located along the Pacific Ring of Fire. And since we have hundreds of volcanoes found in our country, we can be able to get some energy from the heat coming from the volcano, and that energy can be utilized to produce electricity. We all know how important electricity, most especially nowadays that we are so dependent in electricity. Actually, we have different sources of energy, but one of those sources is the geothermal energy. So based on the meaning, geothermal came from the heat of the earth, and to understand more, let us watch together one video clip. Even if it is so dangerous to be in the Pacific Ring of Fire, there are also advantages, and that is the lesson that we are going to talk about today. Just to recall, Pacific Ring of Fire is the region around the Pacific Ocean where many volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunami may happen. And Philippines is one of the country that is located around the Pacific Ring of Fire. So it means that we are prone to many volcanic activity. That is why we rank second based on the world's production of geothermal energy. Actually, based on the data provided by the Department of Energy, geothermal energy produces 14.4% of Philippines' total generation of power. Geothermal energy is cost-effective because it is cheaper compared with other sources of energy such as hydropower, coal, and natural gas. Our planet is composed of layers, namely crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. And as we go deeper, the temperature goes higher and higher. That is why Earth is believed to be tremendously hot from the interior part of the planet. And that heat can be source of energy which is called geothermal energy. But how geothermal energy is being produced? Actually, there are two ways on how geothermal energy will be generated. And one of these is through geothermal power plant. Geothermal power plant uses the heat that came from the inside part of the earth which forms steam and generate electricity. Another way is the geothermal heat pumps. Heat pumps uses the heat that came from the surface of the earth to supply heat for the buildings. It only means that there is a need for the power plant to extract geothermal energy from the Earth's interior. And to widen our knowledge, these are some of the list of geothermal power plant found in the Philippines. First in line, we have geothermal energy in Tiwi Albay. We also have Kidapawan in North Cotabato, and we have also Calaca Geothermal Power Plant. Another one is in Tongonan, Leyte. Another geothermal power plant can be found in Bago City in Negros Occidental. And we also have Valencia in Negros Oriental and Bacon in Sorsogon. So these are the list of power plant that we can found in our country. So the main question is how the geothermal energy is being generated from geothermal power plant. So these are the steps in generating geothermal energy from the power plant. First is that wells are drilled into some depth so that steam or hot water will be pumped to the surface. Next is that the water will now turn into steam when it reaches the surface. Third is the steam will spin the turbine that is attached to the generator, which produces electricity. Fourth one is that cooling tower will cool down the steam and will go back to liquid state. And the last one, the last step, is to start the whole process by cooling by means that the cold water will be pumped back into the earth. So here are the five steps. And to strengthen our knowledge regarding these steps, let us watch one video clip. So aside from the steps, these are the things needed to extract geothermal energy. First in line is that heat source is what we call the magma that is positioned in the crust of the earth. Next is the reservoir that is made up of permeable rock, and this is used to hold water. Third is the seal, which is also called the cap rock, so that steam and water will not escape. And the last one is the water, which will act as a medium to transport the heat from the crust going up to the surface. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something from today's lesson. And here are the references and links that I used to make this topic possible. You can check it out. Did you learn a lot today? Alright, to see how well you understand the lesson, let us have our online quiz now. So open now your browser and type the code that will be flashed on your screen. But before we end up, make sure that you secure your report, your assigned report, and also take note that you have to submit your module number 3 in Google Classroom on or before Friday this week. Thank you for listening. See you next time and have a good day.